Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 4 of Post Pro with me, Kevin Kubota. And this week we're going to work in Lightroom a little bit more and create some really beautiful black and whites. I'm going to show you some of my secrets for creating awesome black and whites in Lightroom alone. Ready to do it? To create beautiful black and whites in Lightroom, there are a couple of cool things that you need to know, which I'm going to show you right now. And we're going to work on this portrait right here. This was an image that I wanted to create sort of a Harel, very Hollywood style portrait, one dramatic spotlight. I lit this one in the studio, just to give you a little background on this. Our model here, her name's Mecca. She's a wonderful model, beautiful young lady. And I put one single light, it was a flash head with a grid spot on it to focus one beam of light. This is very similar to what Harel, a famous photographer, did in the early Hollywood days to create that signature style. Now most of his were all black and white, so I'm going to show you how he did that. And I get a lot of inspiration from movies. I have actions that I've created, and one of my most popular ones is called Lord of the Rings. It came from a movie. We did one a couple episodes ago, Twilight. Again, inspired by movies and themes and things that we have in pop culture. And that's pretty typical. I mean, all of us go to movies. We all see movies. I don't know anybody who doesn't like watching movies, and we're all influenced by them heavily, right? It's part of our culture. So when you see something cool in a movie, why not try to emulate it in photographs? And your clients are going to love it too, because they're watching the same movies you are and probably reading the same books that you are to get inspiration. And that's where I get some of mine. Okay, so let's work this image here, make it a little more Hollywood. So the first thing I want to do is to soften her skin just a little bit. And there are other ways you can do this. One of the ones I showed you in our last episode was to use that brush and to paint in the softening on the skin. We did that on our Twilight model girl. You can also do it globally, where in this case here, I want to do a global slight softening to things here. And what I'm going to do for that is I'm actually going to use my clarity slider, and instead of pushing it up, I'm going to take it down. So if you watch the image here, as I push the clarity slider down, look at her skin. Okay, it softens up, takes away some of the shine, some of those little speckly highlights, while it really doesn't reduce the detail. Okay, so that's what's kind of nice about this, is I can take the skin, soften it, make it a little more like Harel did. He painted his images to make them very beautiful and soft. So I'm taking the clarity down and the vibrance just a little bit down so that the skin tones are a little softer. Okay, just a wee little bit. And now we've got some of that shine taken away on the image, the skin tones are a little softer, and now we're ready to take it to our next step. So I'm going to look at the overall exposure. So my general process is to first look at the image. Does it need to be cropped or straightened in some sense, like we did last episode with the lens correction tools? This one doesn't. I cropped it in camera, it looks the way I want. The only other thing I may do is to add a little bit of fill light to open up the shadows just a wee little bit. And that's what this fill light slider is perfect for. Okay, open that up. Now I have a little more detail on her hair back here. A little beam of light shining on her hair too. So overall exposure looks pretty darn good. Now I'm going to look at doing a black and white on this image. So let me show you how to make a really cool black and white. One of the first things you want to do, or you can do, is to hold down 4 keys. Now you're going to need 3 fingers plus an elbow and a friend's finger to do this, but you're going to hold Command, Option, Shift, G, okay, and that's short for grayscale with an adjustment slider. So as soon as you do that, it flips you into grayscale mode, and there's a little target on your image. And if you click that target on her skin, for example, and push it up or down, you can lighten or darken the same color as where you're clicking in the image. So if I want brighter skin tones, which is typical of those old Hollywood black and whites where the skin tones are very, very bright, almost washed out, okay, I push up with my mouse. If I want to darken the color of the couch here behind her, okay, there's the couch right there. I can take my little adjustment target again here and click it on the couch and drag it down. Now what color was the couch originally? It was kind of a greeny tone. So anything else that has that same color green in it, just includes a little bit of the skin tone there, will also get taken down. So right about there looks right. So I've sort of created now my own custom blend, and if I look at the grayscale sliders here under the B and W section, Okay, you can see I pushed up my skin tones with the orange, and you can do this manually without the click and drag method, but I find it's much more fun to do it that way, just click and push, push, push around. But you can also just drag sliders around, okay? So slide your sliders around. If you wanted the red of her dress lighter or darker, okay, turn the red slider up and down just like that. So find the tone that you like, and then you're good. The black and white looks nice. Typically, I want a little more contrast in my black and white, so I'm just going to use this strong contrast curve right up here from the tone curve section. And then I'm going to add the secret ingredient, which is the warming to the shadows. The warming to the shadows. I talked about earlier episode using the split tone slider, and I promised you I'd come back and show you how to use it a little more, and that's what I'm going to do. So here on the split tone slider, I want to add a little warming to the shadows, but keep the highlights nice and clean and crisp and white. So the way we do that is we go to the shadow section of the split toning, and I'm going to choose a tone that's kind of chocolatey. All right, you'll notice that it's very colored right now. It almost looks like a sepia, which is okay, and don't worry about that. Just choose a nice chocolatey tone. Here I've got a hue of 47 degrees. You can use the same number if you want, but the saturation should be up now because you want to be able to see the effect of that color. You want to see the actual color that you're getting, and you only can do that if the saturation is up. Okay? Now you close that window, and then we'll take the saturation back down so that it doesn't look like a sepia, it just looks like a warm black and white. So usually I take my saturation down in around the 15, 18 range. Then you take that balance slider, and the more I scoot the balance to the right, the more I eliminate any toning from the highlights. When I scoot it to the left, I put more toning in the highlights. So what I want is toning only in the shadows, so I scoot that slider about 3/4 of the way to the right. Got it? Balance plus 48 or so, 48.6, whatever it takes. And the saturation down 15 to 18. And now I've got a warm, rich black and white, crisp highlights, rich shadows. These print beautifully, especially if you print it on an RGB, a color paper. Now that's one of the key things is I see a lot of people use our actions or these techniques, and they make these beautiful, warm, rich tone black and whites, and then they send it to their lab and say print on black and white paper. Well, that's fine, but you're going to lose all that toning you put in there because it's just going to be on black and white paper. So don't ask for a true black and white print. I actually think they look better on color paper when you're using a great lab that actually can print very calibrated images. And then you print it on color paper, you get that black and white with the warm tint to it. Okay? So, looking good, got it tinted, got it looking beautiful. The only thing I'm going to do now is to do some final touch-ups. And I'll use my K brush, and I'm going to go into her eyes with my K brush and put a little bit of digital fill. This is my adjustment brush that we've used before, but I want digital fill, and I want it in her eyes. And I typically will do this is just a couple of dabs into the subject's eyes. And even if it's very subtle, what it does is it brightens their eyes, and just a little bit makes a big difference. You just want to bring your attention right into their eyes. Okay. When you're making your black and whites, if you find a formula like, make sure you make a preset and save it so you can reuse it on another image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my presets list here, click on plus, and save this as my bitchin' black and white. And turn everything off, and here's a test. What did I apply to make this black and white the way it is? Right. Black and white mix, split toning, tone curve. You're right. Don't turn on anything else because then those adjustments will get saved with the preset, and anytime you apply it, you're going to override those settings on the image. So if I already adjusted the basic tone or the clarity or something else, this would overwrite it. So save the black and white with just those adjustments. Now remember that softening part? That wasn't part of my black and white. That was a separate adjustment. When I did the clarity, So that's not going to be saved because that was separate from creating this black and white. My bitch in black and white, create, and now you have it as a preset that you can reuse at any time. Tune in next week to Post Pro, and I'm going to take this image we just created, a beautiful Hollywood style black and white in Lightroom, and now we're going to take it a step further, go into Photoshop and retouch the skin nice and smooth, show you a few other little things you can do to enhance your portraits, take it one step further, do some things that we can't do in Lightroom that we need Photoshop for. So we're going to start jumping into Photoshop now. So tune in next week, Post Pro with me, Kevin Kubota. See you there.